party in the streets, schedule the parade, lift that banner, and alert the rest of the league. The Kraken are coming for the Stanley Cup. Okay, maybe that's getting a little carried away, but still. Thank you for letting this drought be over. Oh, it feels so good to have a win. Win number 11. How many games have they played again? Oh, all right. What the heck, let's have fun for one day. What's cracking, everybody, and welcome back to Kraken R&R, especially those of you who are only here for the win videos, because, yep, that's right, we can still say that the Seattle Kraken have never lost 10 straight games, as they are able to defeat the Chicago Blackhawks 3-2 in the shootout. The curse is finally lifted. Feels good. But what was it that finally broke this curse for the Kraken, getting them their first win in over a month, with the last win coming all the way back on December 14th on the road in San Jose? Yes, there are 7 postponed games between then and now, but still, 9 losses in a row and a month without a win is still a long time to go without a win in the middle of a season. Well, all signs would point to the thing that the Kraken announced just before the game got started. No, not that Chris Driedger went onto COVID protocol. That, unfortunately, is another setback for Driedger this season, who just cannot seem to stay healthy in one way or another. No, instead, it would seem like the savior for the Kraken, and the one that we all have to thank for this joyous occasion of a Kraken win, again for the first time in over a month, is none other than Davy Jones, who is the Kraken team dog that they announced just before the game. He's a 4-month-old husky puppy, and more importantly, the Kraken are undefeated with him as a part of the team. I mean, it's either Davy Jones who broke the streak, or Carson Kuhlman, who's a 26-year-old center that the Kraken picked up off of waivers from Boston, also just before the game. But no offense to Carson, I think I'm going to go with Davy Jones on this one. Plus, after the game, Donskoy did say that Davy Jones had a fair amount to do with the win. I mean, he may have been laughing when he said it, but I think he was serious. As far as the game itself is concerned, honestly, the scoreboard is the one thing that makes this game actually look close, as in pretty much every other way, especially the control of the puck and flow of the game, really heavily leaned in Seattle's favor. That was true, honestly, right from the jump, as even though the first period has been a bit notorious for causing problems for Seattle, this first period was absolutely dominated by the Kraken, again in pretty much every way but on the scoreboard, as they control the puck the vast majority of the first 20 minutes, including getting 2 power plays, the second of which admittedly does come on a pretty soft, questionable cross-checking call, and even though cross-checking is something they're looking for a little bit more heavily this season, even by this season standards, this one should not have probably been called. After a first power play, which actually did go pretty well and got its chances even though it didn't end up scoring, this second power play that comes on the soft cross-checking call, the Kraken are kind enough to realize that it was probably a questionable call that caused it, so they don't try all that hard to score on this one, with the help of Yanni Gourde's stick snapping in half partway through. So then, with this second Seattle power play also being successfully killed off by Chicago, as we get into the final minutes of the first, with Hackstall also having mixed up the lines pretty heavily for the Kraken, again trying to find something, anything that will help them get out of this losing streak that they've been stuck in. One of the lines in particular is looking very strong out of the gate, and that's the one of Järnkrok, Gourde, and Wennberg, which is able to create a couple of prime grade A chances for Järnkrok with a couple of one-timers right in the slot in front of the net. The first one is somehow saved by Fleury, who is showing off why he won the Vesna last year, and then the second one is blocked in front just before it gets to Fleury, though once again he had managed to get back into position and looked like he probably would have come up with this save as well. And shortly thereafter, McCann takes a big, clean, but big hit in the neutral zone from Hardman that sends him to the ice. He does get up and he'll be perfectly fine, but Borgen wastes absolutely no time flipping right around and beating Hardman to the ice, which does get him a fighting penalty as well as an unsportsmanlike call, so Chicago will get a power play off of this. But Borgen also ends up getting a hero's welcome as he skates to the bench and goes to the locker room early with the end of the period coming up. And that Chicago power play is killed off successfully by Seattle as we get to the end of a still somehow scoreless first period. The second period starts off with the last 30 seconds of that kill that bleeds over from the end of the first period, which again, the Kraken have no trouble finishing off. And then there's a flurry of action at both ends of the ice with both teams getting chances on the opposing net. That probably would be a better line if Hayden Fleury had also played in this game, but I think it still works, and this start to the second period ends up having almost as much action in it as the entire first period did combined. Grubauer does make a couple of nice saves for Seattle, including one on a partial breakaway for Kubalik, but it's still Marc-Andre Fleury at the other end of the ice who is putting on a show in front of the Chicago net as he is able to shut down grade A scoring chances from Dunn, Eberle, and Alexiak as we continue deeper into the second period. But then, as we hit the halfway point of the second period, Donskoy gets called for interference right off of a faceoff on a call that, quite honestly, the only thing I can think of with this one is that the refs were looking for a makeup for that pretty bad call that they made on the cross-checking that gave Seattle their second power play in the first period. Unlike Seattle with their power play after the bad Chicago penalty, the Blackhawks don't make it easy on the Seattle penalty kill during this power play. Still though, with the help of Grubauer, the Kraken are able to kill off a second Chicago power play successfully. Unfortunately, shortly after, a nice defensive play by Chicago at their end of the ice, and a pass later, springs Kubalik on a completely free breakaway this time, and I mean completely free, as this is about as open of a breakaway as you're ever gonna see, and Kubalik is able to beat Grubauer to make this one count and get Chicago on the board to make it 1-0. It's Donato that the puck was stolen from in the Chicago end, but again, I think this was more just a nice defensive play by Gustafsson, and if there's really any Kraken that's at fault for this one, it's probably Vince Dunn, who is the one that lets Kubalik get way past him, seemingly completely having forgot about him as he's along the boards. Yeah, it's probably more Dunn than anybody else. The Kraken do start to press back right away, trying to respond quickly to get this game back tied up. Marc-Andre Fleury is not making it easy on them, though eventually they are able to make it happen. It's Vince Dunn making up for letting Kubalik get past him for the Chicago goal, and in his 300th NHL game, he scores from the blue line with what will be the 100th goal in Seattle Kraken history. It's a shot that goes right down the middle into a screen, banking off of Riley Stillman in front of Fleury, which is probably the only reason it gets past him, goes bar down and into the net as the Kraken are able to again get this game tied up in spite of having still controlled the vast majority of it. Then just seconds later, Järnkrok gets another shot off with a good scoring opportunity, though again, another Järnkrok shot is saved. And right after that happens, Chicago's going to get another power play. The Seattle kill goes well at first, but eventually a Kane shot goes off of Grubauer's pad as he's able to make the save, but the rebound is slapped at by Kubalik and ends up in front of the open part of the net, where it gets to Hagel's stick and he's able to put it into net to give the Chicago Blackhawks back the lead. It's now 2-1. Then, just seconds after the power play goal for the Blackhawks, they get a rush chance off on Grubauer. He is able to come up with the save, but there's another Kraken penalty. This time it's Alexiak heading to the box, and for the second time in the final 5 minutes of the second period, the Kraken are headed to the penalty kill as things seem to start to unravel for Seattle. And again, the first half of this power play is killed off very well, hardly even letting the Blackhawks into the offensive zone. But this time, the second half of the power play is also killed off well, and Seattle dodges a bullet as they get to the start of the third, still down 2-1 in a game where, although the second period was more back and forth, the Kraken have still had the vast majority of the scoring chances. And early in the third, the Kraken are going to get another good scoring opportunity as they get a 2-on-1 breakaway. It's Donato with the puck alongside Appleton. Donato, though, opts for the shot, which of course is saved by Fleury. The rebound, though, is right back out in front where it's picked up by a still crashing Donato, and he is able to put it in to score and get the Kraken back to a tied 2-2 game. Oh, thank goodness. Following the Donato goal, the stadium announcer wisely reads it off pretty quickly just in case there's another quick response third period goal allowed by the Kraken. It helps that it's an unassisted goal from Donato, but still he makes quick work of that read off. Fortunately, Seattle is able to survive the next couple of minutes without allowing that quick response goal. However, they do send Chicago to yet another power play. And once again, it's Vince Dunn to the box for his second time in the game. The Blackhawks are able to make this now fifth power play for them in this game interesting, unlike their last one, though fortunately, Seattle is able to kill it off successfully. A couple minutes later, Seattle will get the next and what will turn out to be the final power play of the game. And with this Kraken power play, it takes them just seconds for Eberle from next to the net to find McCann on a crossing pass for a one-timer, and he scores. No! It's Marc-Andre Fleury with another, though this one the best, highlight reel save that absolutely robs McCann of the power play goal, as he can only turn away absolutely in disbelief that this one does not end up in the back of the net. Järnkrok has another good scoring chance saved, as he would finish the game with 4 shots off on goal, all of which being saved, and that's not even including a couple of grade A scoring chances he had that were blocked before they even got to the net. So he definitely had a few opportunities and just was not able to make one count. Next, it's McCann on a breakaway, though he ends up getting taken down before he can even get a shot off on goal, which leads to a delayed penalty for the Kraken that they're able to keep 6-on-5 for a good long period of time before eventually the Blackhawks do get possession without a Kraken shot. McCann ends up having the penalty shot awarded to him, which is the first penalty shot in Seattle Kraken history, obviously outside of shootouts. His attempt, though, ends up being saved by Fleury as McCann tries to go 5-hole, but Fleury is able to get the pad down in time to make the save. And as we get into the final minutes of a third period in a game that is somehow still tied at 2, it's next Eberle's chance to get robbed by Marc-Andre Fleury of a game-winning opportunity. Then Alexiak has a good chance of his own that is blocked in front of the net. And then finally, with 14 seconds left in the third, it's Eberle from behind the Chicago net who finds Donskoy out in front of it for the one-timer who shoots! And what better time for Donskoy to get his first goal of the season and first goal for the Kraken than a game winner at the horn with 14 seconds left. But at the end of the day, it's just not meant to be here once again for Donskoy, as once again, it's Marc-Andre Fleury with yet another highlight reel save to send this game to overtime. And yes, it does bear repeating that the only reason that this game is going to overtime is the efforts of one man, and that is none other than the Flower himself in Marc-Andre Fleury. And in spite of overtime being a 3-on-3 affair, at least during the regular season, this overtime ends up being basically just a 5-minute carbon copy of what happened in the 3 periods of regulation time, as the Kraken control the puck for the vast majority of it, get a number of grade A scoring chances off on Fleury, but he is once again able to come up with a number of highlight reel saves to keep the Kraken from ending this one in overtime. The last of which coming on an Eberle shot, then an Eberle pass to Dunn for a Dunn shot, all of which is saved and leaves Eberle face down on the ice wondering what he could possibly do more to get that puck to go into the goal past last year's Vesna winner. But even if he were able to figure anything out to make that happen, he's going to have to save it for the next time these teams meet, because this game is headed to the shootout. And at this point, it's starting to seem like we are going to be seeing that 10th loss in a row, as in shootout, with the way Fleury's been playing in this game, yeah, it does seem somewhat hopeless for the Kraken. And considering how OT ended, fittingly it's Eberle who gets the first shot on Fleury, which of course is saved. Grubauer then responds with a save of his own on Taves. Then it's Donato's chance for a chance back on Fleury. Donato takes his time approaching the net, then a flurry of stick handling puts Fleury on his face, and Donato roofs it to give the Kraken the first shootout goal. And then Grubauer makes a save on Kane going the other way, and of all people, it's gonna be Jonas Donskoy who has a chance to end this one in shootout for the Kraken. And granted, while he may not have a goal in the regular season, before Donato's goal just a second ago, Donskoy was the only Kraken to score in Shootout, that last one that they had way back in the game against Detroit in November. Donskoy drives to the net, not taking as much time as Donato, couple quick stick handles, and he scores! The Kraken have won! Party in the streets, schedule the parade, lift that banner, and alert the rest of the league. The Kraken are coming for the Stanley Cup. Okay, maybe that's getting a little carried away, but still. Thank you for letting this drought be over. Oh, it feels so good to have a win. Win number 11. How many games have they played again? Oh, all right. What the heck, let's have fun for one day. So again, the Kraken finally do end that streak of 9 straight losses and over a month without a win. And yeah, it does feel pretty good. The season, it might be a little late to save the season. We can figure that out later, but for now, let's just have fun with this first win that we've had in a while. Now, because I have had some of you asking me what I think has been going wrong with the Kraken throughout the course of the season, and especially in those last 9 games they played where they weren't able to get the wins, because it does seem like they've been in most of the games they've played this year, just end up coming out on the wrong end of too many of them with a lot of 1-goal losses or maybe 2-goal losses with an empty netter. Well, my honest answer to that would probably just be good question, because I don't really think there's just been one thing that's been plaguing the Kraken. I know that's certainly not the answer people are looking for, and it's a pretty frustrating one, but I think it's the truth of the matter. That's mostly just that the Kraken haven't been able to get all aspects of their game to mesh on a consistent basis. Obviously, the number one thing that most people have pointed to is inconsistent and just downright bad goaltending throughout different parts of the season. But there certainly have also been games where they have had good goaltending, but haven't had the defense in front of it to allow the goaltender to do his job, especially early on in the season with all those odd man rushes they were allowing. Then there have also been games, again, with good goaltending and good defense, where offensively they just couldn't get anything going whatsoever. For example, just these last couple of games they played against St. Louis and Dallas, and even to some extent the last couple of periods in Colorado. Not even to mention the game before this, LA at home. So then, to answer the follow-up question of what went well in this game for the Kraken to get the win, well, put simply, it's just that all 3 of those aspects, the offense, defense, and goaltending, all met up and played well in this game for the Kraken, all at the same time. Now, sure, you could point out that the Kraken only scored 2 goals in regulation, and I guess overtime as well, but that wasn't for lack of trying. They got enough scoring opportunities and grade A scoring chances for them to, in a typical night, score 4 to 5 goals. Ultimately, what this one just came down to with the offense is that they were getting absolutely stonewalled by, again, the reigning Vesna winner, who was absolutely at the top of his game in this one tonight against the Kraken. Or I guess today, since this, again, was a game that started at 2 p.m. And of course, this isn't the first night by any means where the Kraken have gotten goalied to some extent, but in some of those other games, they also didn't have a goaltender playing at the top of his game at the other end of the ice, which in this one, I think it's hard to argue that Grubauer wasn't at least close to that level, as he played very well in net for Seattle, stopping a couple of odd man chances. And I mean, the 2 goals he does allow come one on a power play, and the second one on that, again, completely open breakaway, which is an even more dangerous situation for a goaltender than just a straight up shootout, because the goaltender isn't necessarily expecting it to be coming. And obviously, as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments as to what you think had been going wrong for the Kraken to have all those close losses, and what went right in this game that they could potentially repeat going forward to get a few more wins in that W column. I mean, either that, or also just feel free to turn the comment section into a Kraken win party. Either way, if you've made it to this point, thank you very much for watching. If you did like or enjoy this video, as I hope you liked and enjoyed the game, there are buttons for that kind of stuff down below that help support the channel, so I appreciate you using them. And until next time, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and go Kraken!